Okay, everyone, I'd like to go over week 5 work. And here's what I want you to know is this video, the information I'm going to provide needs to go in your lecture notes. Okay, so go ahead and do this. Go ahead in your notes, right? Include another heading. So you know I like titles here. I like headings. So you'll have one heading for class topics, and then you will have one heading for the video lecture this week. Okay, so let me go back over here. So the lecture this week is the second part of the HTML Essential Training from James Williamson. Okay, so you'll have those notes as well. All right, so here's why I'm going to have you cover this in notes is I'm going to make a change to our class. Okay, a couple things. I want to change it to where the discussion items, right, the items, the current topics, and the hands-on, your main post, and I kind of previewed this, and the more I've thought about it, I'm going to do it. The main replies, meaning the replies that you have, 150 words, are still going to be due on Monday night. But the replies, right, won't be due until the following. So if this is the 21st, right, so this is the Monday, then the replies won't be due until that following Thursday. And I think, right, this should make it a little easier because I know some folks would like to work ahead and I didn't want to make this change, but I actually think it will be a positive change. So if we look at this, right, so we'd say, let me just go to the calendar so we can kind of just make sure, and it may be it won't show up directly, and so here's what I'm saying. So I'm looking ahead, so your main post for this will be on the 21st. And then your replies will be due on the 24th. Okay. Now, if you have your replies done on the 21st, I will grade them. Just know that that's true. Okay. So, here's what I'm here's part of what's happening is that I get a report in Canvas showing that it's ready to be graded, but it's really not because the two replies aren't there. So I think what I'm going to start doing is either not grading them until I see the replies show up, or if I do grade them, I'll say I'll check back once your replies are done. Okay, so that's one thing. Put that in your notes, right? So in your notes here, the change to the replies, and the replies are required for both the current topics and the hands-on. All right. So the other thing I want to just go over with you is when you submit your notes. Okay. So if I'm going to come, I'm actually listed as a student here, so I'm going to submit the work. Right. And some of you have been asking me because I take off a few points for the following issue. Is that if you've shared it with me, you can just copy that URL, right? And you can say my notes, and then you can click drag across HTML, paste that in. That's the link, right? Now what happens here is that I want you to open them in a new window. So it's hard to see, but over here on your screen it should be. Matter of fact, here's why mine's not, is I'm using the text size increase, but I'm going to come in here, I'm going to do HTML editor, and now you should be getting used to the way this looks. So it's really here on target that you put underscore blank, and what that does is it opens it up in a new window. Okay, so you can click between rich editor and HTML editor. It's just a good time to do that. I don't know on this one, I don't think it gives you the option to do that, so you'll need to do it here. All right. Good. Okay, so make sure you do that because I do take off I think around 10 points for that, so just know that that's true. And do know on your work, on your notes, right, everything's in one document, most of you got that, but do know I want the most current stuff at the top. Okay, so now, let's actually go now back to modules and look at this week's work. I'm going to leave this page because I'm not going to submit it. All right, and I replied to, I think, almost everyone in last week's tell me what you need. I think the biggest thing I saw was really how do I what's the late points, and let's just say it. So let's talk about in your notes, right? In your notes, late. So if you submit something after the due date, and I just talked about a change in the due date, so after the due date for any items, right, then it's 25% off. So if it's 100 points, it's 75 points the max you can get, and the replies are going to be 15 points. So just note, so in your notes put that information. Okay, so now the other thing is, let's talk about, I think That's hopefully clear. So now let's talk about this week's work. So you have two items in your, as normal, your current topics and semantic tags. So in current topics, this one is really about, and I've just given a video here to help you understand basic hosting options. I think we've already had some of this. We have had this in some of the lectures from Linda, but just as a reminder, right? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to do some research on free and paid options, and change that to options for web hosting, okay? And then and then provide a link to your classmates for a free and a paid option. And then write 150 words about what you find, because there are a lot of options when it comes to hosting. And free doesn't necessarily mean best, but there are some good free options, right? So I want you to give that some thought, do some research, and help each other kind of figure out, what's out there. Okay, so that again, everything requires a reply there. All right, so the other thing, modules, right? So modules. So the other topic we have this week is semantic tags. This is such a hugely important topic that's getting much more visibility, and we're talking about, and this is covered in the James Williamson's structuring content. So by this time, you will have already finished that lecture. So what I want you to do is I want you to find websites that have good HTML semantic tags and ones that you say might not. So there's more than two ways to do this. I've given you a link to a website, which is here. And what you can do here is you can go to that site and you can give it a URL. And I just thought, interestingly enough, I do Fresno City College, right? So if I outline Fresno City College, and again, think about all the things on their front page. This takes a moment here, right? Here's what I get. This, and I don't want anybody to use this, but this is an example of not good use of semantic tags, right? And so that's what I want you to look at. I want you to look at websites, and you can either use this tool, or I use this tool right here. It's up in my address bar. It's called HTML5 Outliner. So if HTML5 Outliner, and it's great. It's a plugin that you can put into your browser, and then whenever you go to a web page, you get the HTML5 semantic outline for based on the different tags that they've used. And so, when you see untitled nav, at least it says nav. It's just if it just says untitled, it's hard because remember, screen readers, search engines, other things are looking at these tags, and the more we're using correct semantic selection of tags, the better the web's going to understand our page, and the better other devices like screen readers will discover our page. So, when I say good here, it is somewhat subjective based on just you looking at the outline. Okay, so take a print screen. So find a good or bad example. Take a print screen, upload that print screen, and provide links here, right? So provide both the website link and an output of the semantic tag, whichever tool you used, and talk about what you learned from doing this work. All right, so trying to think of anything else that we need to cover. I am already starting to think about our all-important final project, and I think I'm going to end up having you create a site, like a course profile of the work you've done here using Bootstrap, because I think that's an important framework to at least understand. So I've been already giving that some thought, and I think that's the majority of what I wanted to say today. I hope this is helpful to you. The chat's been really helpful when people have questions, so do that. I think that's it. Anyway, have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I'll chat with you next week. Bye.